All right, welcome to 9.2. Going to start out here quick with just a little sketch of graphs, matching graphs with the correct equation. So I want you to pause the video quick and just see what you can do. All right, so first off, I'm going to take care of these ones first. Y equals 1, that is the horizontal line at D, right? It's going straight up and down. Likewise, x equals -1 is the one that's going up and down there. So we got, that's D, and this is A, right? And then we'll go with trying to figure out x equals -y. Another way to look at that is y equals -x. So starting at 0, going down. So that would be this line right here, B. And then the other one I would look at is either this one or this one, graphing using the x and y intercepts. So you cover up the y. X is equal to 0. Well, the only one that has the x intercept at 0 is this one, and so this is letter E, and this one will be letter C. Okay. Now, today we're going to talk about rational expressions, and it's a quotient of two polynomials, which means we are going to be dividing. All right, there's going to be some rules that we're going to be looking for in some different cases, right? So there's ones that we have done before: 3x to the 5th, 6x to the 6th. And weird, my wife is printing out something again. So every time I decide to do a video, my wife decides to print something. Gosh, I love her. All right, so we got ones like that. And then we have ones which will have x plus 6 over x plus 9, we'll say, stuff like that. And then even when we get x squared minus 36 over x plus 9 and x plus 6. Something that looks like these, right? These are all different scenarios. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is what we can't do. All right, some of us are going to be like, oh, there's an x here and an x here. We can cancel that out. And, hey, we can divide these by 3 and say that's 2 over 3. We can't do that. Yuck, yuck, yuck. No, no, no. Right? We can do that over here. We can say, hey, that's 1/2. And then we said with our rules of exponents, right, we can subtract. The bottom had one more than the top, so we'd have 1 over 2x. We can do that because this is already multiplying, all multiplication. Right, we'll talk about factored form. This has adding, this has subtracting, so I can't just start canceling things out. One of the things we're going to be talking about is we're either going to cancel it all or cancel nothing, depending on after you factor. So this is where, if you don't know how to factor, go back and learn how to do it, right? Refresh yourself, right? We're going to be talking about a little bit about factoring as we go through here, but it's going to be on your own, okay? So we are going to simplify this out. Again, the long way to do it would be to cancel out common factors. Well, I know 45 is 15 times 3. I also know 30 is 15 times 2. All right, we got 5 x's on top. So we're, again, to do it the long way kind of stinks. I wouldn't do it this way normally, but I want to keep the idea that we need factors, we need multiplication. If we don't have multiplication, you can't just cancel stuff out. And that's why I'm showing you the long way here. Okay? So this is what we have. Common factors, there's factor 15 cancel out. So we're left with 2 over 3. Start canceling out the x's, because we can do this, because it's multiplication. So that's left with the x squared on the top. And then there are 3 y's on the top. Cancel with 3 y's on the bottom. We're left with y to the 3rd on the bottom. So that's our final answer, right? We've done stuff like that when we did our rules of exponents. Now we are going to combine that idea with this problem here. All right, so we're just going to go through, factor all expressions. Remember, look for GCF, quick factor. That's with the trinomials. Is it a difference of squares, AC, or cheater method? Okay, all these are things that we learned and we're practicing on back in quadratics. Okay, so We're going to start with number 1. Factor out GCF. 3 and 4 don't have a GCF, so I like to put parentheses around things to say, hey, it's either all or nothing. All right? Bottom method, can't factor out a GCF of the 3 out front, so we're going to have to do the cheater method. And we're going to multiply the 3 and the negative 4 together, so we're looking for factors of negative 12. And then, so what multiplies to get negative 12 and adds to get positive 1? Well, those factors are going to be 4 times negative 3. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And then 4 plus negative 3 is negative 1. All right, so then going through our cheater method, and this is just work for the bottom, okay? And then we're going to go and replace the bottom with this. So we have x plus 4 and x minus 3, and those of us that are really lazy, because that's kind of what the cheater method lets us do, is it just does the work. We just stop here, but remember we have to divide by that number out front. This 4/3 doesn't reduce, so we're going to move the 3 out front. We get 3x plus 4. This reduces down to 1, so that's x minus 1. Right? So again, this is the bottom, so the top was 3x plus 4 with a parenthesis around it. And then we get 3x plus 4. I don't know what's going on in my house right now. I'm pretty good at ignoring people. If you can't tell, if you can hear them, sweet. It's just crazy out there, but if not, it is what it is. Okay? So we factor. Yikes. Step number 2. Cancel out common factors. So this is the idea of all or nothing. Okay? All or nothing. Since we have a factor of 3x plus 4 on the top and a factor of 3x plus 4 on the bottom, we can cancel it out. At the beginning, we couldn't just cancel out the 4's like that, and the 3 and the 3 and the x with the... You can't do that when we have adding and subtracting going on. We need to turn it into multiplication. All right, and that's what we did. So we are canceling out the common factors. And again, on the top of the fraction, if we canceled everything out, we're left with a 1. And on the bottom, we're left with x minus 1. And that's it. Okay? So we canceled out, we factored, we canceled out common factors. Look at factor denominator, set the term equal to 0. So our bottom number is x minus 1. I'm going to set that equal to 0. And what the heck we are doing is we are doing 3 and 4 together. Solve for x. This is the restricted domain. What do you mean by that? This is our final answer, but we have fractions. What number can we not divide by? Oh my gosh, you got it right. That is a 0. So what we have to do is figure out what makes the bottom 0. So we took that bottom number, or bottom factor, set it equal to 0, got x equal to 1. So this is our final answer, but then x cannot equal 1. All right, so that's what our final answer is going to look like. Weird. Now, instead of my wife printing stuff out, she is calling me. So, gonna ignore that call quick. We're gonna factor this out. Why don't you pause the video quick, and why don't you practice factoring that? Right, we're going to factor out a negative 1 out of the top, and they both have an x. So that's going to flip around and do x minus 6. Okay, that's the top. The bottom, we can quick factor this. Factors of positive 6 that add up to negative 1. That would be negative 6 times negative 1. Okay, so we factored it. All factored out. Step number 2 says cancel out common factors. We're canceling out the x minus 6's. Negative x over x minus 1. Again, I'm going to keep the parenthesis around that x minus 1 to break us of that habit of saying let's cancel out those x's. We can't do that. Okay? It's either all or nothing, so the factor is x minus 1, so we either cancel it all out or we cancel nothing out. All right, and then step 3 and 4 are just going to help us with our restrictions on our domain. We don't want to divide by 0, so we're going to see what makes the bottom number equal to 0. And then we're going to find out that's 1. So we're going to say our final answer is negative x over x minus 1, and x can't equal 1 because that's going to make us divide by 0. So again, what I said is there's going to be a few practice problems in an assignment that won't be turned into Schoology. I will have the answer key for that as well. So as you're practicing, you can check on, see how you're doing on all your work. And then there will be a quiz tomorrow. Have a good day.